Hey guys, welcome to Radical Metal. I wanted to do a video as I've been asked, my opinion on what's going on in government. A lot going on, a lot of fast moving parts, hard to keep up. I wrote a Substack on it. You can subscribe to that Substack and read it there. I'm going to read it from there, which is just something new I'm trying. And hopefully it's still engaging. But some people might want to read it, some people might want to hear it. So here's me reading it out loud to you. But I've been asked my opinion on everything going on in government right now, so I'm giving it a shot here on Substack and my channel, Radical Metal. Truth is, I don't pretend to have all the answers, and things are moving so fast. I've been defaulting to a wait and see approach. This makes a lot of people mad, but I am radical middle, and that requires me to be authentic, even if unpopular. So my meditations may conflict with your convictions. If that makes you mad, then I would recommend you look internally and not to me. As a former ambassador of outrage, I have since learned and been deflated by its futility. So I present to you a Taoist approach, which I'll explain this in a minute. So let me just break down that paragraph because it's kind of a lot. But I think people are really heightened right now and very passionate and very upset about some things going on. And so I think my maybe even keeled approach might make people more upset. So I was just addressing that. And then I'm going to go into, the Taoist way, which is very aligned with radical middle. But first, some science. In particle physics, there was a fascinating discovery in recent history on the role of the observer, that by merely measuring or monitoring a particle, you can alter its behavior, as if our witness yields an energy that courses to our center of attention. This reminds me, and I've written about this recently, of Tony Robbins, where he says, where focus goes, energy flows. All to say, what we choose to focus on, whether that be anger, hate, outrage, justice, maybe love, compassion, whatever it is, that's where our energy will end up. For years, the radical left and the radical right have been engaging in actions that have led to many overreactions, an escalating death cycle reinforced by outrage. I, instead, want my energy and focus to reinforce other things, especially after years of trying anger and being disappointed with the outcomes. So I hope this makes sense. I am over being outraged. Having said that, this is many times a political show, and I'm in a political opinion, and so I'll share some of those thoughts now. And then we'll get back to the Tao. So firstly, remember, Trump was voted into office by a functioning democracy, and he was voted in by a majority so that he could do exactly what he is doing right now, right or wrong. The people have spoken, and those who voted for him want him to tear things up. So what did we think was going to happen exactly? All the while, he will litter the airways with appalling rhetoric. The recent one for me that made me pretty appalled was blaming the DC crash where the plane collided with the Black Hawk, blaming it on DEI. Like, seriously? Anyway, the big ones, as of this morning, and it's hard to keep up, are the early retirement and severance packages, the dismantling of USAID and other departments and or agencies. And then there's Elon Musk getting access to a lot of critical systems without having maybe an official role. Well, I want to say, while I've been linked to government for the last 16 years, first as a Marine and then as a government contractor, I'm hardly an authority on all these things. But I will briefly touch on USAID and the early retirement program. And then I promise we'll get to the Tao, the best part. So USAID. Well, I cannot believe that the institution of USAID is all bad. There looks to be some there. They should be held accountable if there's any wrongdoing, but not dismantled. I guess it depends on how rampant it is, but um, I would just be so surprised if it's rife with corruption. But maybe it is. I don't know. USAID, though, also serves the globe where China or other enemies of ours would gladly step in. This was established by JFK. He had U.S. interests in mind, and we should maintain those interests and not give our enemies a foothold. I'll give you a somewhat pertinent example. I was deployed to Liberia as a Marine, and China would had a big presence there, and basically they would do things like build them a little road, and then in exchange they got fishing rights to their fishing waters. A very asymmetric and kind of a reprehensible deal, if you ask me. But the point is, if countries need help, they're going to go get it, whether they get it from U.S. or from our enemies. And if they get it from our enemies, that puts our security and our national interest at risk. So I am not for dismantling USAID, but I am for holding those accountable and for any corruption, racketeering, or any of that stuff going on, any of the nefarious stuff going on. I'm all for cleaning that up. Now let me get into severance packages. This actually does hit a little bit closer to home for me. The stress that this has caused from my vantage point is unparalleled. While I think it is a great deal for some individuals, I fear it is going to drain government of too many exceptional people. So while much of the populace likes to pontificate how bloated government is, many of whom I would argue probably know nothing of government or the people who work there, they do not realize how exceptional many of these civil servants are and how dedicated they are to America. Smart and driven patriots working to improve efficiencies and carry out the laws that are voted into our system. While there is bloat, yes. There is fat, yes. I am appalled at the broad stroke of demonizing the government worker. Just chill out on the government workers. I have a dear friend right now who is faced with this early retirement decision, a true warrior and a servant of an agency that even Trump respects. If some are fat, my friend is lean, and we want him in that office, bringing common sense and pragmatic approaches. But he is going to retire early. We lost him. We lost him to this deal that has caused him much stress, as it is still unclear if Trump can even deliver on what he has promised in the first place. Was the point to drain good people? That is what is happening and will continue to happen as the deadline is extended. So this seems very flawed to me, and think there should be another approach where we can implement a system of identifying who is lean and who is fat. I think that would have been superior. Yes, it might have taken longer, but you're losing good people just as much as you're losing bad people. And that is a huge concern to me. So clearly, I still have opinions, but I want to get back to the Tao. There is a famous Taoist story of a farmer in a village who had an exceptional pony. So let me tell you that story. The villagers would tell him how lucky you are to have such a fine companion. The farmer would then answer, maybe. Then the pony broke free and ran off, and the villagers would say to him, how terrible, this has happened to you. He would reply, maybe. Days later, the pony returned with a herd of new ponies, 10xing the farmer's wealth. The villagers celebrated and said, how lucky you are for this to happen to you. Where, of course, he replied, maybe. Then the farmer's son tried to break in one of those horses and fell off and broke his leg. You can see what happens. Well, you can kind of see a pattern here. Villagers say, how unfortunate. And, of course, his response, maybe. The next day, soldiers came to the village to draft able young people for war. The farmer's son was spared due to his leg being broken. I think we get the idea. Anyway, this story illustrates the core Taoist concept of accepting the flow of life, where seemingly negative events can turn into positive outcomes, and vice versa. By not judging situations as purely good or bad, one can maintain a balanced perspective and navigate life's ups and downs with greater equanimity. That is how I view everything going on right now. Outrage is hyper-focused on the negative, and I don't want my energy to go there. Besides, as you may know, I am an advocate for the radical middle, where the desired end state is dignity, testimony, and clarity. I would much rather my energy flow to those outcomes. I don't believe that what Trump is doing right now is going to matter in 1,000 years. I don't. But I do think what radical metal is doing will matter a great deal. So if you want to hear more about it, please subscribe to the channel. Hey, that's my morning brief. Hope you liked it.